Hi everyone, it's JJ and Sam again, and it's another episode of our Lakehouse vlog videos. Thank you for checking out all our previous videos, and in this one, you know what, I want to talk about a very hot topic that's going on right now, but AI. Is AI going to affect our jobs? Is it affecting the world? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, you know, what is AI exactly, if you could sum it up in a nutshell? So I wanted to take time for this episode to really talk about it. And someone who I talk about all the time with this topic is Sam. I mean, literally we talk about this all the time, but yeah, let's talk about AI.
I'm admittedly not the biggest fan of AI, as you know from our conversations on it, but yeah.
So here's the thing that I see with AI. People are going to use it. I don't think it's going away. Personally, I don't like AI because it's hurting artists. To me, creativity comes from the artist, from the individual. It's a piece of us in every piece. And even like, you know, you do illustrations, I've been getting back into like digital work and fine arts. It's a piece of us. And they're trying to do away with us. It's also not just our industry too. Lawyers, medical professionals, teachers, and education. It's literally impacting people so greatly.
It's a big blow to education right now.
Exactly.
It really does not need any more blows too, but...
Exactly, and I will say we're living through a time where the economy is tough enough, and having a job is really tough. Just everything with inflation, everything going on, it's just tough to make a living. And like, I get it, like, you know, it's definitely a helpful tool, and like, again, I 100% admit I've used it to help me out on several occasions, but to me, if we do have AI, is there a way that maybe we could simplify it for just like certain uses versus putting in all these giant centers? It uses up so many resources, it uses up fresh water. It's also making everyone in the community's electric bill 3 times expensive. In fact, I have a friend that recently moved because their bill went from $100-something to over $300 literally overnight for electricity, and the county decided to just like push all the electric bills onto them. You know, it's not very fair, and again, the long-term effects of AI, you know, I think it's going to actually damage the environment more than it helps.
Well, then I think too, and we've talked about this before, where you do look at those like ecological, economic factors and how it harms people, but then you look at other people who are just like, well, I know all that. I still don't care because I'm able to use AI to do, you know, whatever. I don't have to put any work into it. And I struggle with saying there's ways we can use AI responsibly, because I think that's something we can't trust people to do a lot of the times on their own, is behave responsibly. I don't think people can really fathom like the harm that it causes, and I think it is on like our representatives to be stepping into like making these decisions. But I don't think they're doing that either, because they also benefit from it.
They do.
And again, you got to think about, you know, you got to think about your fellow man and your neighbors and the, you know, the changes that it's making to their lives.
This is the sad truth. And I've been in the shoes in the past in my younger days when I was more naive and oblivious to certain things. You don't realize the impact that you're doing because it doesn't affect you right away. Same thing with war, same thing with anything else in this world, is you're kind of more in your own bubble per se, but then by doing certain things, it does make an impact on the environment, it does make an impact on people. You just don't see it because you're not in their shoes, you don't put yourself in their perspective, you don't go out purposely and see the change of environments and things that are going on in the world. Kind of people are so sucked into their daily routines and like the noise of everything going around them that they don't realize this, and that just breaks my heart. That is just like, I'm glad that like you see the short term of you like benefiting and, you know, maybe helping out like your children and grandchildren down the road, but it doesn't matter when everything goes down the tube and everything's in chaos and they're gonna have to suffer the consequences.
Well, and as Michiganders, like the greatest symbol of our state pride is the Great Lakes and our access to fresh water. That's important, and if we lose that, what do we have, you know? And
exactly.
And I think, you know, I think there is something to be said about the not acknowledging the harm as a like a method of self-defense in a way, I will say, where it's your brain just kind of shuts down. It doesn't want to think about, you know, Jeremy down the street who's electric bill is $800 a month, and has no access to fresh water. His water's coming out of the pipes and sludge. And I think there is something deeply like, I don't know if traumatic is the right word, but it's something that you don't want to have to think about. But then it's also like, if we all just like hole up and not think about it, like, is the ostrich any safer putting its head in the sand from the predator coming? Like, I don't think so. It doesn't see it, but it's still there.
Exactly. In some ways, you know that this is a bad thing, but you just choose not to dignify it. You choose to just live in your bubble, which is comforting. I mean, stepping outside your comfort zone, can be kind of scary. I get that.
That's why it's the comfort zone. It's comfortable.
Exactly.
I don't want to be uncomfortable. That sounds weird.
Exactly.
It sounds weird and uncomfortable.
Weird as hell. Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think people need to realize we need to start stepping outside our comfort zone more and really addressing these issues. Because I worry about the future. It's so tough to just be an artist, to be an educator, to be in the medical field. And even Courtney, I mean, she's not here right now, but her full-time job when she's not here behind the scenes helping out at Lakehouse, she's a nurse practitioner. And she's seen an impact too, which people kind of self-diagnose, which isn't good either because a lot of people come to the wrong conclusion because they're not asking AI the right questions, because you need a professional, someone who's trained, who went to school, or Courtney who's got a master's degree to actually really think about these questions and really pinpoint what's going on.
And I think too, and we've talked about this as well, where I do think AI is sort of symptomatic of the systems we live in, because and we've talked about this before, the distrust people have with the medical, with the medical field. I don't think using AI to diagnose yourself is the solution to the deep systemic issues in the medical field.
Exactly. 100%. Well, same thing. I will say part of my programming is I have a distrust for the law. It's not that, I have anything against police officers, because I respect police officers, that kind of thing, but I've met a lot of bad lawyers, I've met a lot of bad police officers, I have met a lot of bad judges. I know a lot of them are good, but I just happen to get some really bad circumstances and experiences to where that's part of my core value that I'm working on. But when it comes to something with the law, I'm not going to ask ChatGPT to help protect me because I don't think ChatGPT is going to help me in a lot of things, which is why, regardless of my core values and some things that I've had in my past experiences, I'm still going to physically talk to a police officer, talk to a lawyer, deal with a judge, people that are specialized in their areas to actually help.
With ChatGPT and these AI engines, it just tells you kind of what you want to hear.
Yes.
So maybe it is a good lawyer in that regard, where you're just yeah, you were wrong in this situation, but if you really think about it, so-and-so else was the problem. They chose to get hit by your car. If you really think about it.
True. And I'm glad you bring that up, Sam, because there's a customer that we work with, and I think you know who I'm speaking of, but they do that exact same thing with AI, and all their stuff is AI. In fact, actually, when they send us emails, there's even, the part in ChatGPT, which is just hey, ChatGPT, write this. They leave that in the emails too, so I'm just I can tell 100% you use ChatGPT. But the way that they word it, it's, again, what you were just talking about. It's just hey, give this response, but the way I want it, not the actual legitimate statistics and the realization or realist in the situation, just my sugar-coated version, because that's what I want to hear and feel.
A lot of the times we are responsible for the representative front of a lot of these businesses. They come to us to, sort of help dictate, what they look like and how they present themselves. And a lot of the times that's supposed to come with their input. I want XYZ, I want these brand colors because of XYZ reasons. I want this font because of what it represents, or I want this shape language. That's something that we work a lot with clients to sort of coordinate. But then when you just, what should my core values be as a business? And you run it through ChatGPT, that's so impersonal, and also I think people can pick up on it. I think people can pick up on the disingenuousness of using AI in your brand building.
So AI is programmed a certain way with artwork by other artists. So is AI technically an art tool? Is AI art? To me, it's not. Art comes from the human element of emotions, creativity, that certain training, and AI, like, is it trained to a certain extent? Yes. But to me, it's only got so much programming and it's designed a specific way. And I will notice when someone generates an AI logo or AI graphic, you can tell it's an AI graphic. Is it like original? In some ways, like I can see where it's like, oh, it's original, but like to me, it's not original because it's fed like certain information to make it that way.
And I think the argument can be made as well where artists reference artists all the time. I love like hip hop and I love R&B and like the greatest hits of the 80s, 90s, and today. But when you listen to a lot of the music, you see like a lot of like sampling and referencing. The arts is just inherently self-referential. And I think that's kind of like the difference between AI sampling artists and artists sampling artists. Like the AI is just like, oh, replicate Pablo Picasso's art style and make a Pablo Picasso portrait of my cat, you know, like.
Fair.
And it's like, yeah, you picked it because, you know, it looks good and you like the style, but it's like an artist could look at that and be like, okay, I want to use Pablo Picasso's art style to directly critique his treatment of women in his life. You know, there's like reason behind that. There's a justification for why you're using that artist style. That's saying something. That's using the AI computer in your brain, your imagination and your own intelligence to make a statement and say something. And that's what I think art is at the end of the day, is saying something, saying anything.
Like as an artist, you're putting a piece of your emotion, a piece of you, and sometimes a statement, a deeper story, some sort of cultural semiotics embedded into your piece of art that you're working on. Even for logos, I mean, we've done some very creative things where we told a bigger story. And to me, I see that with AI, it's just like bland, it's very soulless. Like, is there some stuff that's interesting? Yes, but it's not deep. It's not passionate. It's just very surface value, just here you go.
Well, and I think about the logo we designed for Stone and Stone when they were like, you know, one of our core values is our empathy. And I looked it up, okay, what are some symbols of empathy? You know, what's something I can incorporate to this design?
Yeah.
And what came back was elephants. They're very empathetic animals. So we tried to incorporate an elephant into their law firm design.
Yeah.
And they loved it. Like, it wasn't anything they were asking for. They're like, you know, purple, here's our values, you know, come up with something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I love too, is when we could actually take the reins and help customers build their brand in that aspect. Actually put in that creativity and that creative spark. Honestly,
The trademark.
Trademark. Yeah. But going back, I mean, seriousness. I mean, where we can actually put in real creativity, where customers even stop and say, wow, I never even thought about this, but this is so much better than what I was originally coming up with. It's just like, again, like it's missing something. And it's because it's just like the quick, like satisfaction, here you go, versus someone actually who's trained like you and I to sit down, really like brainstorm and collaborate to come up with these creative like ideas that AI can't do. And to me, I think what we're doing is more beautiful.
And I think too, there is something again to be said about the commodification of the arts, where it's, you know, I want it fast and I want it now and I want it for cheap, and those can't exist altogether. You can't have something fast, you can't have something now, you can't have something cheap, and you can't expect it to look good, like the trifecta, you know. And at the end of the day, what you're just arguing for is not paying people what they're worth. Like, you know, we can argue until the cows come home, until that, you know, oh, like, I don't think your art is worth that much. And people do that with us. But at the end of the day, like, and the same thing, yeah, with fast food workers and educators, like, if you're just gonna like nickel and dime them and insist they're not worth it, then that's just a disservice to your fellow man, I think. That's the only way we're gonna, you know, get through anything, is supporting each other and supporting, you know, the people around you that have to live and work in your community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even John Connor, not to do a funny reference, but again, the metaphor, John Connor even needs humanity. He needs his allies that help him win this war. He can't do it on his own. Is he like obviously like the savior and like kind of icon? Yes. But again, he needs that support in order to succeed, and without that, he's not going to go very far, I can tell you that. Something that me and also another artist friend, Trey, and I talk about too, is if AI was supposed to be developed, I think it's so we can focus more on our passions and our trade. So maybe developing AI in a way where like it does my laundry, cleans like my dishes, versus the reverse where it's taking away from my job. So now I'm spending more time working on laundry and dishes and the stuff I don't want to do.
Well, I think too, and like, I think about the scene from I, Robot a lot when Will Smith is interviewing Sonny in the police station. He's like, can a robot make a beautiful masterpiece or compose a symphony? He's like, can you? And I think, if one day the robots become self-aware and they rise up Skynet style, but hey, if they're the ones thinking and feeling and, coming up with their own thoughts, then yeah, maybe then I'll be able to, debate if AI is art. But I think now it's just a tool that I don't think is being utilized for its intended purposes.
Exactly.
Do you really want to live in a world where all of your entertainment, like all of the art and beauty in the world is not dictated by humans?
To me, it's a very bland world.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, it's like that was the big proponent, at least growing up, I felt like that was the biggest reasoning I saw for automation was, oh, it'll give us so much more time to be creative and to be artists, writers, poets, give us more time to travel the world and, experience, humanity as it was meant to be experienced. And now it's like, no, we're gonna use AI to take the jobs of artists and the creatives in the world so that they can go work real jobs or whatever. The way it was packaged is not the way it's being delivered, in my opinion.
Exactly. There's so much that goes around AI, and I think at the end of the day, you and I can probably agree, on paper, it sounds like a good idea. Can it be useful and beneficial in certain ways? Yes. But I think in some ways it's going to hurt more than it helps in the long run.
And I think for it to get to a point where I'd be comfortable calling it ethical or responsible, I think it would take a lot more work to put into it than I think anyone who's, 100% for it is willing to put in. If you don't have to think on your own, why bother thinking at all? I think that's something that we're seeing kind of coming more and more prevalent, especially in our children and the education system, where people are like, well, why would I bother writing this paper when AI can do it for me? Because that's not the point of writing papers, it's just get it done. And God, I wish I could go back in time to high school, college Sam, and be like, just write the paper, it's so important. I know it sounds stupid, but there's reasons for it. Thank God for brains developing. But now that my brain is not childish mush, it's oh my God.
Yeah.
I tell JJ all the time, I wish I could write a paper on this. I could, now that I'm an adult, but it's I want to go back to school to be able to learn more, to be able to articulate my ideas in a way that they're taking seriously. But it's you can't get that far if you're just relying on AI to do everything for you.
And you're not learning and growing in the process. So that's another thing too, is by writing you develop skills. You learn about punctuation and articulation better. It also makes you think and learn these different subjects. And if something writes it for you, it throws all that out the window. It makes me sad because just we're relying so much on technology that we're not practicing exactly what I was talking about, so you're losing those skills. And that breaks my heart, actually.
We talk about, if you could go in time and kill baby Hitler, would you? I'm if I could go in time and kill the guy who was the curtains are just blue. Oh, in a heartbeat, I'm taking that guy out. But yeah, it goes into maybe a future video talking about cultural semiotics, just how important it is to be able to think about stuff and make the connections, even if you don't think they're there. It's important because it works those neural pathways, and it's it makes your brain stronger to be able to think about anything.
Exactly, and that's what we do here at Lakehouse, and you and I talk about cultural semiotics. It's I love about Sam, I know we talked about this in our previous video, but
praise.
Yes, you need the praise.
Lavish me with praise.
But Courtney joins us on this too, but just we'll talk about different topics, not even about art, but we have so much experience that even science, we really dive into just the importance of it, but it's just having that knowledge Like, it helps us grow as individuals. It's good to know these things. How can it like help in the future? Even like, again, we saw like Artemis too, just thinking about just like all the science that goes into that, and for everything to go so right when everything could have gone wrong. It's just amazing. But cultural semiotics, like our specialty, is breaking everything down when it comes to logo development. The deeper meaning of everything around us. And like literally, it's so beautiful, but a lot of people don't have that skill because if you don't learn it, you don't use it, like it just, you know, it's just
It's like any other muscle. You gotta use it, you gotta work it out.
Exactly, so I'm glad we did this. It's so deep, I love it. We definitely have a lot more deep videos coming up too, so stay tuned for more of our Lakehouse videos. And again, just like I look forward to it, and
I look forward to it too.
And
we hope you look forward to it too as well.
Exactly. Take care.